All right, welcome back, Chef Brian's Kitchen. I've got a great one for you today. We are going to do cream of mushroom soup, okay? Simple, easy, but oh, so gourmet and delicious. I've got a couple of little interesting little ingredients I want to add to make this just kind of take it, from like 1 to 1,000, like blow people away, seriously. So stick around, because there are a couple of ingredients that are just a must-have that take any soup, but this one in particular, to another level. Now we're going to be using a cast iron big pot today, but before we get started, I want to make a little bit of roux, okay? So I've got 1 stick of unsalted butter, and what we'll do is we'll just melt this down. Now, before we get started, as it's melting down, I'll explain to you. Traditional roux, R-O-U-X, a thickening agent, the actual definition is equal parts flour and butter cooked, right? Which means you want to cook out the flour, as you are, so it doesn't have that floury taste, whatever you're adding or whatever you're thickening it to. I don't particularly cook my roux, okay? I just like to add the flour and the butter. And what I do is that I make it in the consistency of wet sand. So what we'll do here is we'll get this all melted down, like so. And then I've got some regular all-purpose flour here. And we'll add this flour in here until you get to the consistency of wet sand. And that's how I know I'm right where I want to be. And this little trick has served me well through many decades. I don't cook out the flour. I let the flour cook out in the actual soup itself, okay? The other thing I want to talk about, and you can see we've got wet sand here, so we're perfect, okay? So we're going to put this aside. But before I do that, I want to explain something else that I also want to show you that I do that really helps me. Even when I was in school, in culinary school, it was kind of demanded that what you do is you add your liquid, your soup or your stock or whatever, into your thickening agent or into your roux and watch it come together. I have never liked that process. I go the other way, and I consider that process backwards. I consider my way easier, and it's just going to be more consistent. And what I do is I use this, when the soup comes up, I'll take the thickening agent and add a little bit at a time to the actual soup, so you can watch it actually thicken, and then you can regulate how thick it's getting. If you do it the other way, you have no clue, and you actually have to have exact measurements of your thickening agent, which I just think is a pain in the butt. So anyway, enough about that. Let's put this aside, and let's get going with our actual cream of mushroom soup. Like I said, big old cast irons pot today. Let's get the burner going, and we'll always start off with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And as you know me, if you've been watching long enough, my whole key here to really good cooking is developing layers of flavor, okay? And the first layer of flavor we're going to create is what we call a mirepoix, or carrots, onions, and celery, okay? So we've got equal parts. It's about 3 stalks. This is 1 whole yellow onion. And 3 carrots. And this is going to be the first layer of flavor. We want to just get these to become translucent. And the fastest way for any vegetable to release its water is, kosher salt. So we'll add some salt to it, and that's going to immediately say to the vegetables, water, get out. We'll also add some cracked black pepper, and we'll just let this go. And we want to get these again getting nice and translucent, and they cook down some. We'll let these go for about 2 or 3 minutes. When we come back, I'll show you what we have, where the vegetables are, and what the next step is as we build this amazing cream of mushroom soup. Stay right there. Okay, now come on in here. You can see these have cooked down nicely. Release their water. They've become nice and translucent, right where we want them. Now, the next step is we're going to add some garlic paste. As you know, I always use the paste. It's just much easier. This will be the equivalent of about 1 to 1.5 cloves of garlic, so a tablespoon. There's plenty. And here is the first little layer of flavor secret. I'm glad that you're still here watching, because otherwise you would have missed this and your soup would not have turned out as delicious as it could be. And that is a little bit of anchovy paste. Yes. And we're going to about a teaspoon is about all we need. And I'm going to tell you what, this right here takes this soup to another level. And all of you, oh, I hate anchovy people, you're not going to taste this. But what you are going to taste is the umami. And I talk a lot about umami. It's the 5th taste. You know, we have 4 taste receptors, okay? Sweet, bitter, sour, and salty. And the 5th one is the umami, which is the receptor that goes up to the brain and says, I want more, I want more, I want more. Well, certain foods have umami in them. Anchovies is one of them. Another one is actually mushrooms. So, hey, keep it all together in the family, right? Lots of flavor going on. So, again, we're creating another layer of flavor here. Look at that. Oh, it smells amazing. Now, let's go ahead and add our mushrooms. Now, what I have here today is I've got some domestic mushrooms, and I've also got some baby bellas. You can use whatever you want. You can get wild mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, morels, whatever. You can go as crazy as you want, but just regular mushrooms are perfectly fine. Or you can add some baby bellas if you want to. I slice them fairly thick, but not too thick, because they are going to break down. And you probably don't need all of these, so this is probably plenty. And immediately before we start to stir, I'm going to add some salt and some black pepper. Of course, that salt's going to release the water from the mushrooms. Exactly what we want. So we're going to let these go for about another 3 to 5 minutes and cook these mushrooms down. And when we come back, we'll start to add our stock and bring everything together, and I'll show you exactly the ratio of stock to cream and how we reduce it down. Boom, to boom, to boom. We're on our way to some amazing cream of mushroom soup. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's come on in. I want you to see, look at just how, it just looks so amazing already. You can see the mushrooms have taken on all that flavor that we've already introduced first. So it's picking up like that anchovy paste. It's picking up the garlic. It's picking up the flavor, the sweetness from the carrots and the onion. And you see how it's nice and dark. The mushrooms are cooking nicely, and that's right about where you want it, right about there. See, they're releasing the water here. See that? Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to start adding our stock. Now, my rule of thumb basically here is, but I eyeball it for the most part, but my rule of thumb basically is 2 parts to 1 part. So we'll use 2 parts stock to 1 part cream. Today we'll be using, let's start with, let's say, 2 cups of, let's see, we've got, so let's go 2 cups of stock. Let's see where we are. You basically just want to cover the top of all of your vegetables. And we've basically done that. But I want to go maybe another cup. So it's 3 cups. And again, preciseness is not necessary, but that is exactly what we want right there. Look at that. baby. All right. Now at this point, before I add any cream, I think it is so important, as I've always said, taste as you go. If we don't taste as we go, we don't know, right? So let's just get in here and just see where your broth is. Your broth is going to be your soup, but it's not there yet, but at least it's a start. So let's see where we are. Boy, I tell you what, not many times do I hit a home run on the first try, but nothing to add to that. That is fantastic. Wow. All right. So we added 3 cups of stock. We will now add a cup and a half of cream. And this is a 2 cups measuring here, so a cup and a half should be right about there. Ba-boom. And let's see how this looks. Yes. Oh, unbelievable. All right, now we're almost home free. The whole key here now is, again, we've added another layer of flavor, the richness of that cream. We've got the earthiness of the mushrooms that are now getting everything coming together really, really nice. This needs to simmer for about 7 to 10 minutes. Simmer. Just let cooking cook, okay? Just let everything come together slowly. When we come back, we will add our roux. I'll show you the best way to thicken it, and then we'll let it simmer a little bit more, and then it's time for a taste. And then again, like I said, one last little secret ingredient I want to give to you that makes this soup just amazing. Stay right there. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. As you can see, everything's coming up to a boil exactly where we want it. Before we add our roux, what I want to do is I want to turn this burner down to a simmer, because it's now time, you guessed it, for another taste. We want to see where we are flavor profile wise. So just let that come down. Now obviously this is super hot because it's boiling, but you can just get some of that cream broth there. That is so good. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit of black pepper. That's it. I'm not gonna add any salt because it's right there on time. Now, here is a trick that is so important when you're thickening up any soup, any sauce, whatever. Again, every cookbook, every culinary school, everybody, most people anyway, will tell you, oh no, you take this soup and you add it to your roux. No. I think that's backwards. What I do, like I said, is I add my roux to my soup because I have more control over how thick it's getting. But here's the key. In order for you to really see how thick it's getting, it must already be coming to a boil. Okay? If it's not, you don't know. It'll thicken up really, really slow, and you won't know exactly how thick it's getting. And you may get it too thick, and now it's a blob, and you don't want that. So we do have a nice roaring boil here. And now we take our roux, consistency of wet sand, and we're going to slowly add it to the soup. And I can eyeball it, and because it's at a boil, it's going to instantly start to thicken. And I'll be able to tell when I can stop to see where we are. And to add a little bit more. Look at that. Wow, that's almost perfect. Last bit in there. And then, look at that. Oh, it's so delicious. Now, once we have added our thickening agent, we want to let this again cook out for 10 to 12 minutes. This is where the flour does need to cook out. So let's just bring it down to a nice simmer. I'll turn this way down, okay, because we don't want to scorch the cream. And you just want to let this go 10 to 12 minutes. Let that flour cook out. Just relax. Let all of the ingredients come together as one. This is what cooking is all about, bringing everything together as one. All of the flavor profiles, all the layers of flavor, from the anchovy in the beginning to the garlic paste, to the sweetness of the carrots and the onions and the celery. It's all there, but it's got to come together as one. That's what makes the final dish so delicious. I'll be right back to show you exactly what we're going to be doing with this. That one little secret ingredient. Actually, I got two little things I want to add to this. So glad you're with me all the way to the end here. We're almost there to take a bite. We'll be right back. Okay, come on in. Ooh, oh, this looks so unreal. I'm going to turn the heat completely off now. And I just want you to see this. Look at how beautiful this came together. Oh my goodness. Now, because you have been so patient with me, we're going to add the first little secret, which is a mixture of parsley, okay, and tarragon. I am telling you what, I know I have had a lot of videos talk about tarragon. Fresh tarragon, in cream of mushroom soup is to die for. I'm telling you. So what I've done is I've mixed up a little bit of both. Now what you're getting from the parsley, don't skip that parsley, because parsley is from the earth and the mushrooms are too, okay? What grows together goes together, right? Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of the raw in here, and I want this to cook a little bit, but off the heat. So we just want to get this in here and let this go, and let this layer of flavor have fun with the rest, right? They wanted to join the party. And I want no heat here, just the residual heat from the actual pot is taking that perfume from those herbs and adding it to this soup. Okay, and now the final bit. Let's go ahead and bowl this up. Move this over a little bit. Let's bowl this up here. All right. Wow. Now at the last minute, what we want to do is we take now some of the raw herbs, put it on top like so. Now, here is the biggest secret that is going to blow you away. Are you ready for this? What do I have here? I've got black truffle oil, okay? Black truffle oil. Let me stop right there and explain to you what's going on here. Okay, so what are truffles? Are truffles and mushrooms the same thing? Not really. They're both from the same family, which is the fungi family, right? The difference is mushrooms grow above the soil, okay, and they have a tremendous amount of umami, okay, and truffles are below the soil, up against the bark of the tree. They take years and years and years, sometimes up to 10 to 15 years to actually go. You need dogs, or sometimes in the old days they used pigs to go and sniff out the truffle. They're extremely expensive, but the flavor profile is unbelievable. And when you mix them with mushrooms, it just takes to a whole nother level. So I'll actually leave a link. This is my favorite brand of truffle oil, and I'll leave a link in the description box. So if you wanted to check it out, you can. Along with that, I also have a whole ebook that you can really, I highly recommend. It talks about all these tips and tricks. It talks about everything from seasonings to how to organize your kitchen, which pots and pans to use, how to make a commitment to your equipment. Everything is in the ebook too. So you might want to check that out. But I'll also leave a link to this truffle oil. And what you want to do is, this is a finishing oil, okay? This is not to be used like olive oil. So what we do is we just take a little bit like this, right at the very end, and it's just a finishing oil, just like that. And probably just a little teaspoon is all you need. And man, oh man, It is unbelievable. And now, the moment of truth. Let's get it. Get a good mushroom here. There we go. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Let me tell you what. Gourmet cream of mushroom soup. Every single layer of flavor is there. They've all joined the party, and it's all in. It's so delicious. Let me tell you, you definitely want to make this at home. I want to hear how yours turned out, because this one is lunch for me, and I'm gonna get to it. So I'm gonna let you go for the rest of today. I will see you next week on another episode of Chef Brian's Kitchen. I am Chef Brian, and remember, as always, eat well and stay healthy.